hope everybody's going to have a great time at the races, but I'm going to kick off. Many of you know Celsius. You're drinking it right now. You're seeing it in the streets. You're seeing it with your favorite influencers, with your best workout people. Really killing the game right now. General Counsel for Celsius, Marcus Sandifer, and Jen Werner, the VP of Sales from Teads.
All right. Thank you, Jonathan. What an intro. Hi, everyone. Jen Werner, VP of Sales for Teads. This is a little bit of a pun, right? I feel like this is like a salesperson and a lawyer walk into a bar. This is going to be a very interesting conversation, but a good one. I met Marcus earlier this week and had a really great conversation. I'm really excited to dive in with you today, but I want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself first.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Marcus Sandifer, the General Counsel for Celsius. And first of all, just thank you for welcoming me into your space. This is really an honor for me because I get to be around all the brilliant minds when it comes to branding and marketing and getting a product out to consumers. And you don't usually see people like lawyers in those conversations. So I really am grateful for the opportunity and to meet all of you and look forward to staying connected. So thank you.
Fantastic. Well, it's going to be an exciting conversation because I will say when we got together, I was a little bit curious about where this conversation was going to go. But you were amazing. First of all, you're one of the most, I guess, polished people I've ever met that also is very down to earth and engaging. And when we got into the conversation, we immediately said, "Hey, what should we talk about?" And the first thing he asked me was, "What do you think the brand marketers in the room want to hear?" So right off, we're off to a good step, and I am excited that we really came to a good place. And before that, though, I really want you to kind of share your passion for Celsius because that was a really big topic that threaded through the conversation. You joined the company roughly 2 years ago, and the why behind that I think is really important.
So, passion and the why behind why I joined Celsius, right? So Celsius started out in April of 2004. Most people think that it's a relatively young brand, but it started off a long time ago. And the mission for Celsius back then was, hey, they wanted to put forward a global brand, a branded portfolio that was leading in functional energy, that was performing well, that inspired people to be great. And I can say over time, we are definitely on that path, right? So why I joined Celsius, I could see this brand and how it connected with people, and that resonated with who I am as a person. I started my career with Gatorade way back in 2004, and I know how Gatorade helped people to perform at their optimum level, whether that's in sports or keeping them attentive. And I applied that to my passion for my career and how I connect with people. So I wanted to be a part of a brand that was growing on this upward trajectory when so many brands are fizzling out. You kind of want to be on that wave and ride it because this doesn't come around all the time. But I could see the passion. I could see that people believed in the brand and connected with people, and that really resonated with me. So that's pretty much why I joined Celsius.
I love it. You told me a little bit about your CEO, and he has a mantra, so to speak, that he says in all his interviews, and he echoes throughout the organization. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so our CEO, John Fieldley, he always says two things. One, if it's cold, it's sold. So, the first thing that I was looking for is like, let's get it chilled because if you haven't tried Celsius cold, it's a different experience when it's cold versus when it's not. And then he always says that Celsius is for everybody. And that's reflective in the way we develop our product, how we come up with new flavors, how we go to market. There's a different flavor profile, a different type of product line for everybody. And we really try to be reflective of what our consumers want. And you need that connection. So our CEO, that's our mantra. It's on our walls when you go into our offices. It is for everybody. And that's what we try to make our brand be reflective of.
Let's dive deeper into that. Everybody, give us a little bit of definition of who your target audience is.
Yeah, so this is a great question. Who is our target audience? And not to be too over like general, but it really is for everybody. We don't single out women, or we don't single out men, or we don't single out um, hardcore athletes or professional athletes. It truly is a lifestyle beverage. So we equate everyone to lifestyle. You'll see a person that's competing for the Arnold, promoting Celsius and using it in our daily routine. You will see Ethel at Costco sampling, Celsius. So it's for everyone. And just a quick fact: when I was being recruited to come to work for Celsius, I kept telling my parents like, "Hey, there's this company in South Florida. It's called Celsius. It's an energy drink." And my mom pulls out a can from back in the mid 2000s. It's a blue can, And she says, "Oh my gosh, is this the same company? I've been drinking this for years." My mom is 75. So when we say it's for everyone, it is truly for everyone. And my mom now is like the biggest non-paid employee of Celsius. She goes into stores, she's turning the cans around, she's making sure the product. And she goes, "My son works for Celsius." She's so proud of it. So it really is for everybody, and I think that's what draws us together because it does connect with everyone. So that's how we target and position our brand.
I love that. And we're going to come back and talk about his family because there's really some great stuff to talk about there. But I want to kind of go a little bit further and deeper into the audiences because I think that's important. You know, you're leaning really heavily into social media and influencers. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so again, so I've been with the company about 2 years. And just a little bit of the brand and how it's changed and evolved over the years. So the brand has done this. It's gone up and down, right? We've had some good years, we've had some bad years. Starting probably around 2017, 2018, we had a new marketer come aboard. Her name is Cal Watson. She's the head of our marketing team. She came aboard. She partnered with our CEO, who was the CFO at the time, and they talked about reformulation. They talked about repositioning and how were they going to do that. And one of the ways they did that was really leaning in to social media and the influencer, um, I guess, style of marketing, right? So our CEO, his daughter actually said, "Hey," I think she was probably 12 or 13 at the time. She said, "Do you guys know about TikTok? Everyone's making TikToks of and it's popular. There's all these brands on there." They started going to TikTok, putting Celsius videos on TikTok, and we just saw a huge, huge response to that. So we doubled down on that. We're just like, we are going to go all in on social media, influencer marketing as a strategy, and we've been able to reach so many people in a broader audience by leaning into that. And then I was at Brand Week back in the fall, and I sat in on the CEO of Marriott, and he talked about the pandemic and how his business was able to thrive because they doubled down on social media and influencer marketing. And he was saying, if your company is not leaning into that, you're not going to survive. And like hands down, Marriott was able to do well because they leaned into that. So it made us feel good about our position that we were doing the right thing and we were on the right tracks because we were leaning into social media and influencer marketing.
I love that. One of your influencers, Jake Paul.
Yes.
Okay. Talk to me about that because I think he's got a brother, right?
He does, Logan Paul.
Logan Paul. I have got a child too. And Prime. If I don't know anybody here has children, but Prime is the drink right now, right? And that would be Logan's brand, I believe.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about your partnership with Jake.
Yeah, so Jake Paul, an opportunity came to us to partner with Jake Paul to have him promote and drink Celsius or promote Celsius and just kind of introduce it to the world. Obviously, his brother has Prime. It's closely tied to UFC and fighting. That's a whole different target audience. But before we explore any opportunities or deals with influencers, we want to know: do you even drink Celsius? It's all about being authentic because we can go out and pay anybody to go and promote the brand. But our consumers can tell when it's a paid thing versus is this authentic. And Jake Paul was an authentic, I drink this all the time. I know my brother has this business, but this is my drink. And I want to partner with Celsius. So, Jake Paul is a huge personality. We were able to partner with him right before his big fight in the Middle East. It was great. And he's just authentic. He still is in touch with us. We have a lot of different things. You'll actually see him around this weekend for Formula One. So he'll be doing some things with us this weekend.
I love that. That screams loudly for the brand. Let's talk about authentic. Has there ever been a situation that didn't feel authentic? I mean, this is a space that, you're kind of lending your credibility to a persona or an environment, right? Has there ever been a situation that has occurred that didn't feel authentic to the brand?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, there are situations I think and everyone here can identify where you've gone into an opportunity or a deal and on the planning stages, it looks good, you've executed, everyone knows their roles, and then you see kind of the finished product and it just like there's just something that doesn't feel right. We've all had that, right? We've had that with Celsius, but what we've learned from those opportunities is like we kind of go back to the drawing board. We meet, we collab with all of our teams, and we try to see like where did we go wrong, because we don't want that to happen. And at the end of the day, like our consumers are so important to us, protecting the brand integrity. We cannot have missteps like that where our consumers don't believe us. That's something we pride ourselves in. So if we're going to go into these opportunities where um, you're going to partner and then it doesn't turn out the right way, that's going to question the integrity of your brand. It's going to make people question the functionality of your brand. It's going to make people question the claims of your brand. So if we're going to partner, we have to make sure that it's true to the brand and we can't have these missteps. So yeah, it's happened to all of us, but we bounce back.
So this brings me to the topic of just the social conversations that are being had today and the social issues. You play a really unique role within an organization, right? General counsel. You're very involved too, which I'm like quite surprised about how involved you are with the marketing team and what they're putting out. I would love to know a little bit about that dynamic, but also more so on the social issues. There's seems to be kind of this push for brands to get involved and be a part of the conversation. How do you, I guess, approach that as general counsel, a voice in that conversation? And then also, how do you measure risk?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, as general counsel, I'm also corporate secretary for the company. And then you've probably heard of ESG, so environmental social governance. It's an initiative and it's a corporate social responsibility component of all public companies. And it's also heavily regulated now by the SEC. So when I go to work at Celsius every day, I'm not a robot. None of us are. We take our personal selves, our beliefs, our values into work every day. Um, and our shareholders and our investors and our customers and consumers want to know where companies stand on various issues, right? And I just think it comes down to doing the right thing. That's how we approach everything we do. So when it comes to various social issues like, are we going to do business in Russia? Are we going to do business in Crimea? Like, our consumers want to know where we stand. And it is a very fine line that you have to walk because you don't want to make any decisions that's going to impact your customer and consumer base as well as your shareholders. But we approach everything from like what feels good, what is the right thing to do. We take the responsible positions because our consumers and our shareholders trust us. And if we lose that trust, we don't have anything. Our whole brand can just die overnight if you take the wrong position. So we come together as a leadership team, we meet with our board, and we just do a gut check on those issues that are important to us. And it's a collective decision, right? We want to make sure that we are always on the right side of history, and that's how we approach our brand, that's our approach how we market, who we partner with, what type of events we sponsor. That's the starting ground for us.
I love that. I want to shift gears, and I mentioned this earlier. We're going to talk a little bit about your family because I think it's important to your story. And at first, I want to like give a moment here because you are extremely successful, and you've got a lot of great accolades. Want to give him a little plug. I think you guys should all reach out to him from LinkedIn. But um, I think your family had a real big impact on who you've become and where you're going. And so I'd love to know a little bit about your parents as migrants. And you have a very rich, loving family of 7 brothers and sisters. A little bit about them as well.
Yeah, so give me too much credit here, making me blush.
No.
um, Family is very, very important to me. It is really the most important thing to me. My family has taught me so much. They sacrificed so much. So I am a first generation American here. My parents migrated from the Bahamas and Panama. So we're first. I'm a first generation. I saw my parents struggle um, to make it in America, and they're like everything that I've accomplished is because of the values of hard work, perseverance, and dedication that my parents instilled in us as kids, right? My mom was a school teacher. My dad was a police chief. So I had very good role models in the household my entire life. But my parents went to work in the Tropicana orange fields in the daytime and went to school at night. My mom went on to get her doctorate degree. My dad went on to become the first black police chief in South Florida. So I had very good role models, and I saw like they never accepted any excuse for anything. They put their head down. They were good people, contributed to their communities, and they always gave back to the community, and that's something that just has stuck with me my whole life. I went to college here at Florida A&M, and when I first graduated from college, I got accepted to Emory Law School. And I talked to my parents about it, and I said, like, I want to go to law school right now. My parents said, you know, that's great. You got into law school, that's an amazing thing. Have you considered working for a few years? There's something that you can learn by working and being in teams and collaborating that going straight through, you don't get the same experience. So I went to work. And that's the best decision that I could have ever made because it helps me understand how to approach problems in the workforce because I've worked in teams. I've worked with people that were 20, 30, 40 years older than me. I understand what's important to them. And that's how I approach my job now as a lawyer. When I go into Celsius, I'm working with the marketing team, the finance team, the operations team. I think about my early days, like supporting factory workers. I know how to drive a forklift. I know how to run a filler on the line. I learned valuable lessons that I would not have gotten had I just went straight into law school.
Yes. And again, one of seven, and your siblings, five of them are in the military serving our country. Thank you. And you have a sister who is also a lawyer. So I think, it speaks loudly, just, your parents, you speaking to them, but obviously with as many as you do that are serving our country and your father as, in his role, this really kind of shed a light on the conversation in terms of what Celsius is doing to give back in the community as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so my sister that you mentioned, also my other siblings who've served the military, country, it's very important to us. We're very proud American citizens, and we don't, take for granted. There's a lot of things happening in America, but this is, to me, the best place to be in the entire world. And we're going to work together. We're going to solve these problems as Americans. So that's just my little plug for that. My sister is my inspiration. She's a music attorney. And she's great. She pushed me through law school, was my mentor, my support system. I had a great role model. And she's doing amazing things as a partner in her law firm. And she's a member of the Music Recording Academy. So, I get to go with her to like really cool trips and the Grammys and stuff like that. So that's really cool. Um, but like, back to like family and what we do, like, and what that means to us, just like having a lot of siblings, you learn how to like negotiate and barter and come to terms. We all have very strong personalities, and you can imagine what that's like getting us all together for holidays. It's no different than what we deal with every day in our business world. That's why we're all here. We're passionate. We believe in our brands. You got to give and take. It's a pull and a push type of system. But at the end of the day, everyone's committed to one goal.
Fantastic. All right.
So just a disclaimer, I'm not too familiar with everything that Red Bull encounter with their nightlife and their marketing. I know it's with their like alcoholic. I know they had some situations. I honestly don't know too much about those issues, but from a Celsius perspective, our position, we don't market to clubs or bars or nightlife. But if you go out anywhere here in South Florida, in these bars on South Beach, you see them bringing it out, and I'm always just like, like, it's, we don't promote it, right? We promote Celsius with Celsius and whatever alcohol of choice. But there are some great combinations out there. But we don't promote it, but we see it everywhere. So I will speak to that because we're so because we are so ingrained in TikTok. We like literally we have a TikTok team in our social media department. We've seen those TikToks, right? And they give me anxiety. Uh, yeah, so it gives me anxiety. So, but like we see it all the time. It's a trending thing. So like honestly, for like about 2 weeks when that was a trend, we were just like morning, noon, and night looking at that trend, like oh my gosh, like making sure like we were going out. We don't promote Celsius, like alcohol. But yeah, I know about that trend.
Yes.
Yeah, so great question. I'm glad you asked that, right? And that's one of the uh, topics that we didn't naturally get to, but it's one something I wanted to touch on. Um, Best practice: invite your lawyer to the conversation, and make sure that your lawyer understands your business, right? I will tell you, I'm a little bit lucky because I came out of like food and beverage before becoming a lawyer. I just naturally gravitate to understanding marketing, supply chain, advertising issues. But if your legal team doesn't know your business, that's going to be a problem. Like they need to have meetings with you regularly and understand your goals and your visions, and you all should be partnering together. At Celsius, my team, I have 4 lawyers that work for me. We're all ingrained in the business. We have to go out into the trade. We have to go to all of the shows. We have to understand what it is that marketing is doing because if we don't understand marketing's vision, we can't protect you from the risk. And we are defenders and protectors of the brand. That is our role. Number one, and first and foremost, we protect and defend the brand. We can't protect and defend something we don't know about. So your lawyers, as a best practice, they need to understand your business, dedicate time to spending with you, and help you kind of create that strategy so they can help you protect what it is you're trying to accomplish.
So with all this AI being used in imagery and so on, you don't really know what's true and what's not. How do you envision maybe seeing those
Again, another thing that keeps us up at night. Chat GPT is turning everybody's world upside down, right? It's tough. We're in the same position. We're trying to navigate through that right now. We're seeking understanding to understand the capabilities and where this is going from a legal perspective, even from a branding perspective. I think you guys just saw someone created like a Drake song with somebody else, and they're finding out, like trying to decide who gets the royalties and the rights. Like just for just for a hypothetical, we went to Chat GPT and we're just like, oh, come up with a strategy for this with the marketing team, and it spit something out, and I said, we have a problem. Like this is a problem, right? So when you talk about just like knowing what's real and what's not, we're just at the beginning of that, and it's a challenge for us lawyers as well. We're all trying to figure out what that's going to be, but I'm encouraged. Like with any type of technology or innovation, you guys just got to double down, get in it at the beginning, and just kind of really learn it and learn what it can do for you and not be afraid of it.